Hello and welcome. I'm Allison, and today we're going to be talking about our solar plex as the emotional center. So I think of the solar plex territory being just at the top of the sternum and all the way down towards the doming of the rib basket. So here you'll find, if you kind of tap into that, you're going to find your belly, and then just right above it is the very, very tip or the end of your sternum, and that's called the xiphoid process. So this is the structural part of your solar plex. The interesting thing about the word plex, we've got one as a sacral plex, two as a solar plex, is that a plex is a place where nerve endings are coming out. So solar plex not only is a bony structure, not only covers the visceral organ of the upper thoracic cavity, it also has a lot of nerve endings coming out of it. So there's our structural kind of background on the sternum. And you'd like to think, if you're kind of just touching in with your own sternum, is that the nerve endings are coming out of the side of the sternum, and it's going to be the bony margin of that sternum, and then attached right to the side of that will be the pec major and the fascia of the chest. So you have a lot of muscle attachments there too, but I think it's all of those nerve endings which causes us to feel deeply that emotional resonance when something happens. So we've had a lot of experience through life of surprise or excitement, or a scare or fear or stress. And what happens first, if you start to really be able to pay attention to emotional resonance, is that the solar plex and the nerve endings of the solar plex will actually respond pretty quick to these emotional stimuli. So some people can imagine butterflies up through the solar plex, but something else that happens is when we are impacted by stress, or we're impacted by surprise or by fear, we get this sort of, our solar plex almost holds into itself. And if the solar plex and the nerve endings of this emotional center get drawn in, it can start to take pec minor, pec major in, shoulders in, abdominal organs in, esophagus is right underneath this. So we end up, if we get really tight in the emotional center, compressing our digestive organs, and it also can draw the shoulders in. This area is a big component to keep open in ourselves if possible. So we're going to do just a little bit of movement today that's targeting this emotional center and this sternum area. And we'll begin that by just observing. So let's just take a moment to settle in. You can be sitting on the ground like I am, or sitting in a chair. You could even do this laying down. So just take a moment to identify and become aware of your sternum, your solar plex. And you might call that awareness in with just a few breaths. So through your breath, notice that front part of your chest where the ribs wrap around and connect into your sternum. Take in a few breaths and notice what parts of your rib basket on the front are moving as you breathe. Take a moment to notice the base of your solar plex, or the base of your sternum, where the xiphoid process sits right at that top of your belly. And take a few breaths through that, right at the base of your sternum. Here we're just observing. And for you today, noticing whether that emotional center, that sternum, feels open or closed or sensitive or spacious. Just notice. We'll next bring our hands together at that sternum level or heart center. So you can bring your hands together in this prayer pose. Take a big breath here. And as you exhale, push your hands away from you and let your back round a little bit. Maybe look down. Inhale your arms up above you. Reach up, and as you exhale, take your arms out to the side. And let your hands rest on your knees or thighs. Breathe in and out naturally. In Gentle Somatic Yoga, this is called Namaste Flow, and we'll do just a few more. Bring your hands together at sternum. Inhale. Exhale, push the hands away, round the back, look down. Inhale the hands up, nice and easy. Exhale the hands down by your side. And do 2 or 3 more of these with your own breath. Go nice and slow. And today, as you're doing this process, Namaste Flow, you're thinking about that emotional center, the sternum, the solar plex, and you're pendiculating or giving a little compression. And then as you inhale, you're coming up and out and kind of opening through that solar plex. Exhaling the hands down. Maybe on this next one, doing that whole sequence with your eyes closed. And as you do, and as you breathe, you're feeling into that solar plex. Just gently enlivening this emotional center. Nice and gentle, just feeling. This next time, just allow your hands to rest again on your knees or your thighs or your torso if you're laying down. Taking a few breaths and just noticing that solar plex, the front of your chest. Being kind with yourself, knowing that you don't have to open anything all at once. But notice if there is a little bit of opening or awareness, maybe in between your ribs in the front of the body, maybe at the sternum, just being present. This last little self-care offering we're going to give to the sternum is just going to be taking the hands on each side of the sternum, so you can start right up by the collarbone, and you're making little circles or little rubbing motions. So the rubbing motion can be kind of up and down. I like to think of little circular motions because we're just thinking of the nerve endings. So you're wanting just for you to lightly touch all the way down your sternum. And you're going to feel, maybe some people have some places where it feels a little tender. And if you feel a place of tenderness, you can just lightly rub. And again, we're not going into muscle or fascia. We're just wanting to stimulate the nerves a little bit. And that nerve touch is a very light touch. And you're going to work all the way down the sternum right into the xiphoid process, the top of that stomach, where actually the stomach is usually a little to the left and the liver is a little to the right, but we got the bottom of the sternum here, and you just kind of rub through there. Another method of doing this is just to kind of create some circles around the sternum, and you're thinking again about finding those little itty-bitty nerve endings, and you're just massaging those a little bit, and you can go all the way down to the xiphoid process. Thinking of this self-care for the emotional center. And once you've completed that, and of course you can do that as much as you like, just take a moment again to observe, bringing the hands to the torso or down to the legs, closing the eyes and returning to your breath. And just noticing what is present here now. Taking as much time with this breath or this meditation as you like. Thank you for joining me today for some self-care for the emotional center. Namaste.